So the topic of this webinar is a new seismic attributes. The attribute analysis is a key step in the seismic characterization workflow, and a good analysis is achieved by combining attributes giving structural and lithological information. Several attributes have been recently added to OpendTect to extract geological information using new principle and providing new and complementary views to understand your data. So we're going to first present HorizonCube attributes, then the texture attributes, and finally application using neural network before the conclusions. So what is the HorizonCube? So the easiest is to just show in OpendTect. So the HorizonCube is a high-dense, consists in a high-dense 3D correlated, correlated 3D stratigraphic surfaces. So here you see how it has been computed between two horizons that define the upper and the lower limit. There is three kinds of HorizonCube. You can be either data-driven or model-driven, parallel to the upper horizon, lower horizon, or proportional in between. The one displayed here is a data-driven. So here you see all this. You have 1,460 events, so surfaces, and you can slide them. And you see all the surfaces following the following your seismic. Okay. These surfaces they can go very close to each other. They never cross. And this is what is used as bait for the HorizonCube attributes. There is two kinds of HorizonCube. The continuous one with continuous surfaces, or truncated one. For the HorizonCube attributes, the one we are using is the the continuous one. So there is two kinds of HorizonCube attributes. One computed along HorizonCube events directly, which is available in the OpendTect 4.5, and one can be stored is computed on volume as a volume. Okay. The HorizonCube attributes computed along the HorizonCube events is started from not from the classic attribute set window, but directly from HorizonCube control center. These attributes are calculated directly on the HorizonCube events, and they are stored in a special format to be displayed using the HorizonCube 3D slider. There are three kind of attributes available. The general one, which allows you to save any stored volumes attribute defined in the active attribute set, or neural network output as a HorizonCube at the HorizonCube event location. You have the center isopack that calculates the isochrone in the chosen event window. So a window which is defined by a number of events centered on each event. It can be computed on the geometry, meaning the Z values, store attribute, or surface data, HorizonCube data. So the stores attribute at the HorizonCube location. The interest of that is to detect the positional center and fault patterns. The third kind is a topological curvature. So it calculates the event curvature using the geometry of the event only. So it's different from the classic curvature that can be created in the classic attribute set window, as it's only at the event using the event geometry. It's not using deep information from the steering cube. So this one can also be computed on geometry, stored attribute, or HorizonCube data. So the output of this attribute attributes is mainly for the 3D sliders, but this attribute can also be displayed on on inline or cross lines, for example, using attributes from the attribute classic attribute engine, and that's what we're going to see later on. So from the classic attribute set window, you can define as different attributes. The first one is HorizonCube density, which basically counts the number of HorizonCube in a user-defined time gate and output this count. So the interest of this attribute is it can easily identify pinch outs and conformity and condensed sections. So here is the same horizon, same section as I showed you before in OpendTect, but here is the density attribute. So you can see here in purple is the low density, and in dark red and brown is a high density. So you can really see the difference in the HorizonCube density. You can really see when it's getting denser, the pinch outs. So, and it's just one look, and you see the key information. Another HorizonCube attribute is the thickness. So it measures the spacing between two consecutive HorizonCube events. The same way you can see easily pinch outs and unconformities, and you can also see changes in the deposition rate. So same section. So here in purple is a high thickness, and in green a low thickness. So you can see that you really see when the thickness of the layers is more important. So you can really see the difference, the variation into the thickness. In 4.5, you are able to extract the dip from the HorizonCube events. So the dip is extracted along the events, and then it's interpolated in between. The objective is to easily QC a HorizonCube, but also the quality of the steering cube. And you can, getting the dip information, you can use a model-driven HorizonCube, and you can compare with the original dip from the steering cube. And that allows you to locate some local dip variations or multiple, for example. So here is the original HorizonCube, and the dip calculated, extracted from it. You're also able to measure the mismatch between the steering cube dip and the HorizonCube dip. So that allows you to QC either the steering cube or the HorizonCube very easily. In the 4.5 still, you are able to create layers from using a defined numbers of events. You can create layers from your HorizonCube. So this is also a way to QC your HorizonCube. It's also a way to get an interpret system track at a finer scale. And this allows you to create volumes with for visualization purposes or for work purposes of extremely from thin layers that you won't be able to get from an SSIS analysis well, the SSIS analysis will give you much thicker intervals. So here, for example, this has been created with the same HorizonCube, and one layer consists of 60 events. So you can create with a much lower number of events. You can go from 10, for example. So you can see that this is very thin layers, and it allows you, it's a constant number of events, and allows you to see quickly how your events, how your system are behaving. And then out of that you can easily create extract only, if you want to focus on only one layer, you can create a volume with just one layer. The output is just a number from 1 to here 25, because I have 25 layers. And finally, the HorizonCube data allows you to display on in the volume, on inline, crossline, for example, the HorizonCube attribute that you created along the HorizonCube events. So now you can save them as cube and visualize them in volume. The attributes are defined along the events and interpolated in between. Another kind of attribute that has been developed in OpendTect is the texture attributes. It's texture attributes are used for pattern recognition, and they are based on the idea that areas with similar common signal character are related to a geological depositional system, to the same geological depositional system. So texture attributes originate from the image analysis, and the objective is to cluster data based on statistical pixel analysis. They are used in seismic interpretation for the fascist analysis, geomorphology, and can be used as input for clustering algorithms such as UVQ neural networks. The texture attributes are based on the gray level co-occurrence matrix, GLCM, also called gray tone spatial dependency matrix. The GLCM describes the spatial relationship between the pixels. So here is how it's defined. So in the matrix is consider a reference pixel and a neighbor, and in a given window each pixel becomes one after the other the reference, and the analysis is done in this window. So each the matrix is originally filled by a number of time a pair of amplitude pair occurs. So a reference and immediate neighbor, and then it's turned into probabilities. The matrix to be used in for the attribute calculation has to be symmetrical. So it's done. It is made symmetrical by using its transpose. In OpendTect, we have two sizes for the matrix, 16 by 16 or 32 by 32. Here is just an example using 4 by 4 for In OpendTect, we also have the ability to use as extra input the steering cube. So the extraction is using the deep information, so it gives much more accurate results. Among the texture attributes, we can divide into three groups: contrast, orderliness, and statistics. And in each group, the attributes are highly correlated. So the contrast measures the related it's measured the contrast using weight, and in all the example, the time gate used is -8 + 8 milliseconds, which is a step out of 3, and the GLCM size of 32 by 32 with no steering cube. So first the contrast. So the weight is given by the difference between the row number and the column number, that's square. So when the difference between the reference pixel and its neighbor increases, the contrast increases too. So here in yellow is a low contrast and blue a high contrast. So you can see, for example, here a layer with a high contrast in between two zones with low contrast. The dissimilarity, in this case, the weight increase linearly, and again, when the contrast between the reference pixel and its neighbor increases, the dissimilarity increases too. So here you see again this layer of high dissimilarity, and here you can see clearly these two things of low dissimilarity. The homogeneity, it's the inverse of the contrast, in terms that when the contrast increase, then the homogeneity decrease, and this decrease is exponential. So here, as a result, what we saw with with a low dissimilarity and a low contrast appears as a highly homogeneous in this using this attribute. And the same, this was with a high dissimilarity, so it results into a low homogeneity. So if you compare the three, you see clearly the correlation between the three. With so the high contrast, high dissimilarity, and low homogeneity. Also, you see that these areas, it's better defined using homogeneity than using dissimilarity or contrast. The orderliness attribute, it measures how regular or ordered the pixel values are within the window, the defined window. You have the angular second moment, which measures the uniformity of your data. And the high values of this attribute correspond to a highly ordered window. So here in red is highly ordered, and in dark blue it's a low order. So you can see clearly some very sharp, high angular second moment values, areas, sharply defined. And the area with a low dissimilarity appears as a low uniformity. The energy measures also how the order in the window, and it's the contrary of the entropy. So this energy is just the root square of the angular second moment. So we keep the same events. We get similar results. And finally, the entropy. So as the energy was measuring the order, the entropy is measuring the disorder in the window. So when you have high value of entropy, it means that there is it's a highly disordered window. So in yellow is low and blue is high. So here is highly disordered. And so if you compare the three attributes, you can see that these events, these areas, are much more defined on the energy and the angular second moment than on the entropy. They appear much sharper. And finally, statistics. So it's statistics derived from the GLCM. So first you have the GLCM mean, which calculate the mean, but using the neighbor's pixel. So the final result is looks very like seismic. It looks like a smooth seismic. The variance measures the dispersion of a value around the mean of the combination of the references and neighbors pixels. So it can be compared to the entropy. So here you have the high value in red. So you have a highly variable areas. And you see the area was, you follow the same areas that you've seen before in the previous attributes. The standard deviation is just the root square of the GLCM variance. So the same. Here is a low standard deviation. And now if you have the correlation. The correlation is measures the linear dependency of the grid levels between on those neighboring pixels. So it's a bit it gives a bit different information than the other texture attribute, and it's very useful to be used as a input attribute for neural network analysis, for example. So you see that if you compare the different attributes in the statistics group, you see that the correlation gives you a slightly different information result than the previous one from the variance, and obviously from the mean, which is a bit unique. So now if you compare all these attributes together, so you can see that some areas that are better defined with some attribute than others. So as I mentioned before, these events, these areas, very sharply defined with the energy and the second angular moment, which does not appear that sharp on the other attributes. In the same time, here this event can be seen on every attribute, but is sharply defined using the standard deviation than, for example, the dissimilarity. So that shows that you have to, when you're doing your analysis, you have to choose carefully your attributes, because one feature will be more enhanced using one or another attribute. And you can also display these attributes along horizon. So here you see, for example, contrast. You have these things which appears very clearly, that you can see also in dissimilarity in all the contrast attributes, which does not appear very clearly, for example, on the energy or the second angular moment. or even on the GLCM mean. So if one object will be more highlighted by one attribute, that's why there is a very big interest of combining them. But before going to the application phase, as I said before, we are using also the steering cube information, the deep steering, as an input for our texture attribute extraction calculation. And this has a very huge impact. So all the pictures shown before were done with without using the steering cube. So here is the original seismic. Here is the homogeneity attribute extracted without the deep steering. So it just look like what I've shown before. And this is with the deep steering. So you can really see clearly that events, that areas are showing much more information than before. For example, this one, which is really blurry, which is really does not show anything. Without the steering cube, you can really see a sharp difference in between the two. If you look at these areas, which correspond to the areas with the clinoforms, you can really see the difference in between the two. So using the deep steering for the texture attribute is really improving your attributes and will improve your analysis, which give you a much more accurate attribute. So this, as I said, these attributes have there is a very high interest of combining them, and you can combine them using a neural network. So this is just a UVQ that have been performed along one horizon in the F2DEMO dataset, so using 10 classes. So you can see already some areas with different behavior. Then UVQ segmentation done using different attributes, so using texture attribute and HorizonCube attributes. So energy, variance, and correlation for the texture ones. So GLCM Variance and GLCM Correlation. And density, thickness for the HorizonCube density attributes. In addition, we use energy, deep state energy, as an input attribute for the neural network. So this is just a seismic display, and this is the result of the segmentation. So you can really see classes. So there is 6 classes, and you can see different areas with different behaviors. Okay, if I go back to the original seismic, for example, here is you can see that it corresponds to this yellow area. Okay. Additionally, we use in addition to texture and energy attribute, a system track to kind of as a bias for UVQ segmentation. So in this case, we don't use HorizonCube attributes as input. So this is the original seismic. This is the system track used as input attribute, and this is the segmentation. So you can really see the impact of using the system track as an input. You can really see the impact on the final segmentation. And this can be these classes can be extracted and can be seen in 3D. So here the yellow class is seen in 3D. So it allows you to define bodies, geobodies, and to see them in 3D. So to conclude, so now there is two new types of types of HorizonCube attributes: the volumetric based and the event based, that can be both seen along the HorizonCube events and in volume. The HorizonCube attributes are very useful for identification of stratigraphic features such as pinch-out clinoforms and conformities, condensed sections. Texture attributes, so it's a new kind of attributes in OpendTect. It's very popular in the image processing, and this is used for the seismic fascist analysis, and also to highlight geomorphological features. And these two groups of attributes can be combined together for 3D segmentation, and can really allow you to improve your analysis and give you a better definition. It allows you to identify geobodies and to characterize them. So if you want to know more about the texture attributes, you can. I recommend these two references. I advise you to have a look on our OpendTect attribute matrix to know what, depending on what you want to do for which kind of analysis you want to do, and which attribute you should use. You can also find more information about HorizonCube in the different webinars that we've done before. Additionally, if you have questions that come up later, you can send us an email to support@opendetect.org, and we will answer them as quickly as possible. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Claire. And I'm sure everyone benefit from this presentation. So now it's the time for the attendees to, if you have any question, just write it in a question pane, or you can raise your hand, and we will unmute you to say your question. So please go ahead. Yeah, there's one question came, and she's just saying, thanks for the webinar, need time to digest all that. So I guess it just was very beneficial that they need to listen to it again. Okay, that's from Julianne Moray. Okay. Okay, David Conley has a question. Can texture attribute be used in DHI analysis? So if Paul can answer that question.
Yes, possibly. I don't see why not. But there is not real physical basis for texture attributes in relation to DHIs. So I'd rather go for more typical AVO type of attributes or amplitude-based attributes that have some physical meaning as to how they behave and something that can be modeled. Whereas texture attributes are very much empirical. You try to come up with a different view of the data so that you can interpret it in terms of geology. And I'm sure that the attributes will be related to DHI, but how is not clear. So then I'd rather say go for the original type of classical type of attributes for DHI analysis.
Okay, David, that's answering your question, I guess. David, this answers your question, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay, good. Okay, any more questions? All right, I want to thank you, every one of you, for participating today. And you will be receiving an email with the link for our recording session. And this will be like after 1 week from today. And also it will be in our LinkedIn page and our Facebook page. So please feel free to listen to them, and if you have any question after that, you can just feel free to email us. Thanks everyone, and have a great day, and I hope that we will see you next month in our next webinar.